Howdy y'all, welcome to day 37 on the CDT. It's a spooky tent video again. Essentially, what I found is Colorado's a bit different. I knew it was going to be a bit different, but the snow's adding an added complexity to it, where yesterday I was able to hike 24 miles. 12 of that was from Chama to the pass, and then the other 12 was trail miles. Today I was able to get a little over 19 miles on trail, and that's considered a big day when you're traveling through snow. Other folks were mentioning, expect to cut your whatever you were doing in Mexico in half, and that was what your daily mileage was going to be. So if you're doing 25s in New Mexico per day, then you're lucky to get 13s in Colorado. Now you may be able to get a few more miles. It just depends on where you're hiking and the trail conditions. So today was a long day. I think I would have preferred to wait a week to get to Colorado, or be here a week ago. And the reason why I say that, here, let's see if we can get the light a little bit better. Spooky. The reason why I say that is the conditions we have right now. It is dry trail, and then we encounter a snowfield, let's say in the trees where the sun hasn't hit it yet. So then we got to clamber across the snowfield. Then we have dry trail again. Then we have another snowfield. We may have some blowed down trees, dry trail, snowfield. So it kind of makes the progress slow going in certain sections. If you're above tree line and you're making a push for a mountain pass, or like yesterday we were on a pretty big ridge. If the sun's been hitting the ridge, then a lot of the snow, or most of the snow, is gone. Today, at the end of the day, we were hiking up to a pass and then hiking on the side of the mountain, kind of traversing it. But the side of the mountain that we were going up to the pass, and then the side of the mountain that we were traversing, it wasn't the direct north side of the mountain, but it was like the northeast side. So there were, I don't know, like half a dozen, maybe 5 pretty significant snowfields that we had to cross. And so, the end of the day, we're putting on our micro spikes, getting out the ice axe, traversing the snowfield, feet getting wet, because the snow's been in the sun during the day, so it's melting. You're lucky if you're not post-holing, like if the snow is holding your weight instead of falling down. Here's that light better? I just had to lean back. So it's it's not a continuous travel on the trail like it was in New Mexico, or even yesterday for that matter. So today I was able to pound out about 12 miles before lunch, and most of that was hiking up to a ridge and then hiking across the ridge, coming down the ridge. And then after lunch, I was hoping to get about 7 miles. The reason why such a difference was I knew that some of the trail was going to be in snow, and I knew it was going to slow us down. I didn't get to camp until I think 7, because the snowfields definitely slowed us down quite a bit, and the snow in the trees. The snow in the trees is the worst, because it's just piles of snow, and you're trying to get around it, and sometimes there's deadfall or windfall from trees getting blown down or falling over because of beetle kill, and then suddenly you're trying to scramble over trees around a chunk of snow, and the chunk of snow could be taller than you are. Like there were a couple of chunks today where I couldn't see over them. They were taller than I was. So it's not just stepping over snow, it's actually having to get around a pile of snow that, like, you know, you find in a Target parking lot after they plowed the parking lot. So I was able to use microspikes and ice axe today, so thankfully I'm not carrying them for nothing. But the reason why I said earlier that I kind of wish I was here last week or would have waited one more week is last week, my guess is there was a lot more snow. And so essentially, or maybe 10 days ago, so you would put on, my guess is you would put on your traction, like your microspikes, and then you'd have it on for miles because it was nothing but snow. If I waited a week, like the second week of June, then there's a good chance that the snow piles that are here would be half gone or all gone, depending on where they are in the trail, and so, and how much direct sunlight's hitting it. So it would be a lot easier to actually hike through it. So this kind of hodgepodge in the middle is taking a bit of time. I'm making good mileage, 24 miles and 19 miles. Those are very good days in snow, so I can't complain. I'm on pace to get to town, I think Sunday evening or early Monday, and the town's going to be Pagosa. So still on pace for that. And, you know, we'll see how much more snow is ahead of us before we hit Pagosa. I am curious if we are rushing through the San Juans because the snow's melting very quickly, and then we're going to get stuck in, let's say, the Sawash range, or as soon as we hit like Copper and near Silverthorne, like when we get to the Front Range, like Grace Peak and that kind of stuff. So it'll be interesting to see what happens in the next few days. I do love Colorado, and the views have been amazing. When you think of the Continental Divide Trail, you think of big sweeping views, and you're on the top of stuff, and you're walking over, you know, mountains and ridges and all this other stuff, and you can see everywhere, and you're exposed because it's the Continental Divide. And the Colorado section of the trail is definitely living up to that billing. We haven't spent a whole lot of time in trees. Today we did for, you know, a good probably 6 to 7 miles, just because we were passing by some mountain lakes, and I think we were traversing between like one ridge and the next one. Like, for example, tomorrow I think we pass under 13,000 foot mountains. I think we are at like 12.6, and if the conditions are great, then we could scramble up and actually summit the 313ers, but I don't know what the conditions are going to be yet. Sorry, I got, I think, a combination of sunscreen and sweat, like salt, that just went into my eye. So yeah, I mean, we've been getting some wonderful views. We definitely have been high on ridges and over mountain passes, and have been exposed to a lot of wind and sun and that kind of stuff. So it's Colorado's a lot different than New Mexico. I'm sure if we would have been able to go through the national forests in New Mexico, the comparison would be not equal but closer, just because the national forest trails in New Mexico are supposed to be some of the most beautiful pieces of the CDT in that state, and we were supposed to hike right by Mount Taylor, and you could actually take an alternative to summit Mount Taylor. So like I said, I think the comparisons would have been closer if we could have gone through the national forest. I think today's shout out, and I think I've said it a couple of times in different shout outs, but today's shout out is to patience. When you're approaching a snowfield and you see it's a small snowfield, and then you're on dry trail again, the first thing you want to do is try to find a way around it so you don't have to, you know, put on your traction and like sit down for 3 minutes and put on your traction, that kind of stuff. You just want to keep hiking in order to get your mileage. I think also there's a tendency to say, hey, it's later in the day, the snow's soft, I don't need my traction or, you know, my ice axe. I can make do with trekking poles and my shoes. And I think that's just a potential recipe for disaster. So I think, oh, sorry, my feet they're not happy. They're cold and wet. I think basically having patience to say, like, hey, put your traction on and be safe. And when you're crossing the snow fields, you know, you can see where the trail is. Like, we had a huge snowfield at the end of today, and I could see where the trail was going to go. I wanted to make a straight line for it, but it wasn't safe because some of the snowfield was at a pretty steep angle. So we had to do a traverse and then kind of a diagonal down to get over to where the trail was, and it took a little bit more time. And you know, when you're hiking in snow and it's been sunny all day and the snow's wet, so you were hoping that your shoes and socks were going to be dry when you got to camp, and suddenly you're having to traverse a snowfield and your feet are getting soaking wet. You kind of want to make a straight line for the trail, but you got to have patience to say, okay, what's the safest line? Let me take that, and let me deal with the wet socks and feet and all that kind of stuff when you get to the camp. So shout out to patience. I hope everyone's well. Thanks for watching the videos, and I hope you folks are enjoying them. I posted some responses to questions. If you folks have any other questions, text me, and I will I'll respond to those additional questions. I am still planning on doing another 1 or 2 gear posts just to talk about some different pieces of gear, and so that one, those aren't over. You know, for example, like my tent, and talking about, you know, other things like, you know, hey, do you carry a towel, and what kind of towel do you carry, and you know, what do you do to wash your dishes, and what do you do for blah blah blah. So anywhoosie, everyone have a great evening, and I will talk to you tomorrow, hopefully not in the spooky tent lighting. Good night.